inspiration, brave action, and heartwarming journeys. This is what the Louise H. Reed Show brings you. Now, here's your host, Louise H. Reed.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Tuesday. For those listening live, welcome and thank you. I'm so grateful for you joining me each and every Tuesday at this time on Contact Talk Radio. We are so fortunate here at Contact Talk Radio to have listeners in over 145 countries. I would love to see you here live on Facebook and tell me where you're listening from. Let's see how global this show really is and how global we can get it. I am here happily and with gratitude every Tuesday to share with you the amazing journeys and guests and stories of real people telling it like it is. Really successful people who have truly embraced the notion of taking brave, bold action in pursuit of their dreams and goals. So I am all about spreading positivity and optimism and kindness and gratitude, and love this as a platform to do that. So all my guests have some element of that in how they go about doing their business. And so I invite you to call in if you're listening online through Facebook, please send messages. Would love to hear from each of you with questions for me or questions you may have for my guests. So one of the things that I have learned, I'm going to start with a little bit of a story, I suppose. One of the things that I have learned in my life, I'm in my mid-40s, early 40s. And one of the things that I've learned in my life to date is that setting goals and having dreams are paramount in order to get you to where you want in your life. Obviously, we know this to be true. What I didn't know until just a few years ago was that I had to be open to the how. There had to be some flexibility as to how those dreams would be realized. And the reason I came to that understanding, or how I came to that realization, was upon reflection, I had blinders kind of on as I was going through my life, going really, really hardcore, taking massive action towards my goals. Well, when I got all of those things, I kind of sat back and thought, oh yeah, I should be happy now. And lo and behold, I wasn't. So I had to do some sort of deep thinking and deep reflection and understanding how I did exactly what I said I was going to do, and it didn't bring me the joy that I wanted. The reason I'm sharing all of this with you at this time, like right now, is I learned that I had to be open and flexible. I had to take action towards my dreams and goals, but the how I had to be open to other opportunities, other people that came into my life, and the radio show, me hosting my own radio show, came upon that way. It was a way to be able to empower and equip a broader audience than just my coaching clients. And so I went for it. And you know what? This is my favorite hour of the entire week. Cameron at Contact Talk Radio and his team and his business partner and wife do amazing things for us at Contact Talk Radio, and I feel very blessed to have them. And so that came upon me in a way that I wasn't expecting, but allowed me to show up the way I wanted to. So this is all about flexibility. Flexibility kind of is going to be my word for the day. And I mention that because today I had a super awesome guest planned. And, lo and behold, things don't always work out. And so instead, I'm bringing on a past guest who has been and continues to be a really important person in my life, who lives alongside me, works alongside me, and is a true sort of life force that enables me to show up each and every day with optimism, with love, with support, and Jay is rolling with this along with me. I was just mentioning, Jay, that flexibility is the word of the day. How opportunities come to us in ways that we don't necessarily expect them to. The silver platter doesn't sort of show up to us necessarily exactly how we would like But when we take those opportunities, things happen and our life can become transformed in ways beyond our dreams and our goals. So
I couldn't disagree with you more. Absolutely. You know, I've always said, when one door closes, another door opens, and I never truly understand what opportunities lie. That's why I had recently said, when I got back from vacay, I told people to slow down, because I think when you slow down, you actually have an opportunity to see the things that you actually may pass by. And we live a life that's fast, but it's truly, truly important to take those opportunities to slow down. I will apologize to the listening audience. You will hear vehicles and probably a bit of back noise. I am sitting outside in the neighborhood, and there's, I guess, summer traffic going by.
Well,
so I apologize.
Flexibility is the word of the day, so we will roll with that. So I wanted to say again, thank you so much, Jay Andrews, for joining us. Jay has been on my show before. He is also my partner in life, and I have so much joy and pleasure and gratitude in having him on the show again today. Jay is phone is ringing. Jay is a motivational speaker, and he is a resilience coach, and through the sharing of his own life experiences and his own positive attitude and optimism, shares that and spreads that around the world. So I thought, what a great guest to bring back on the show to help motivate and inspire others to take positive steps in their own life.
Absolutely.
So I know last time you were on the show, Jay, you started to tell us a little bit about your story. Could you just give us a recap for those listeners who may not have heard the first show? Give us a recap as to, your 3 strikes you're still in.
So a quick recap. Like most people, we've all had our lives and how we pursue our dreams and how we see ourselves in the world. Well, I was doing those things, but I felt like I was sleepwalking. In 2011, I'll say I awoke, and it took 3 major situations that happened to me for this awakening. The 3 were in chronological order. I was diagnosed with a blood disorder that there is no cure for, which will shorten my expectancy. Life expectancy, which was quite hard to deal with at a young age, to wrap your head around that. And then very, very shortly afterwards, I was involved in a very serious car accident that should have claimed my life, but it did not, obviously. And I was told that I'd never be able to run again. And I run 5, 10 Ks, have ran a half marathon. And then last but not least, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I beat cancer. So there it is, 3 strikes and you're in. Life can throw you many curveballs. Example right here with your show today, but it is what you do in the moment. It is the mindset that will get you through any situation, even on a radio situation like today.
I absolutely agree. So we explored a whole bunch of stuff last time we spoke. So I'm going to explore sort of your story in a few different angles than last time. So those of you who are joining for the first time and might be joining in now just 9 minutes into the show, welcome. We've got Jay Andrews on the Louise H. Reed show today. Jay was on recently, and you can find his previous show on my website, louisehreed.com. You can find us on Spotify. Woo, woo, that's a new thing. Thanks to Contact Talk Radio for getting us on Spotify, as well as iHeartRadio. We're very grateful for those platforms and being showcased there. So Jay,
yes,
there are a lot of people who go through a lot of shit in their life.
Yep.
Let's just put it kind of frankly. And they don't choose to then start to speak about it and to share their story with others for various reasons. There's no right or wrong answer or right way of going about it. But why? Why did you choose this? What compelled you to choose this as your life path?
I think it was like, I think there's, if we want to start in the beginning really quickly, and I will answer the question, is that I think the one thing that's been a string line through whatever I've done is that I've always been associated with people. I enjoy being around people. I like the interaction with people, the learning from people. There's just so much about that human connection is just incredible. For me was, I would tell people kind of what I had gone through or what I was currently going through, and people would look at me with dismay, and they'd be like, "You're what?" And then they would look at me in shock and like, "You need to tell people your story." I would tell people, and they said it would actually shift their life. They would see things in a different light, and here I am, extremely humbled, and I'm thinking, this is just my life, nothing too important. But that was that thought process. I look now, and I truly believe this: every single person on this planet has a story, and it needs to be told. Every person. I don't care if you say, well, all I do is flip burgers at McDonald's. Well, guess what? I'm sure there's a story in there. Like, there's something to be said. Every single human being on this planet has something special and is worth sharing.
Why? Why is it worth sharing? I agree with you. I totally agree with you, but why?
Because we need, every person's experiences are different. Every person's thought process of what they go through is different, and we can get something out of that in a positive way. There will be people out there will twist things and make it into negative, or be the expression of Debbie Downer or what have you. But that aside, those are a minimized people that end up taking more of a spotlight. What I'm saying is that every person's story is special, unique, and there is something to be learned from it.
I like that, and I agree. And you, especially, I am as well. But you are a LinkedIn creator, and part of a group of individuals who truly believe in that notion of sharing stories for the sake of connecting with others and learning from one another. And you have heard me say, other listeners have also heard me say, and I will say it, I think, every single week, because I believe this with every fiber of my being. We are more, in this hyper-connected world, we are less connected as human beings than ever before. People are going to get sick of hearing me say that, and I'm still going to say it, because I feel like we are failing ourselves, our friends, our families, by choosing technology over real human connection. And what I believe, and what I have seen through you and through the other LinkedIn creators, how you're able to marry technology with real connection. And that is something and true connection. We have other social media platforms where we are connecting, but not deeply. There's lots of research and stats on how, and I won't name the other platforms in particular. I don't want to slander them, because I use all platforms and enjoy them for different reasons, but there are certain platforms that there's a clear link between how much time you spend on that platform and rates of depression.
Right.
And so we're not really connected as humans. Anyway, so I'm going on and on because I'm really excited for you. And so talk to us a little bit about the difference. Why is LinkedIn and what the LinkedIn creators are doing? Why is that different?
Well, to answer that question, what it is that there's a LinkedIn is a massive family, right? And it's worldwide, and people are still under the impression that LinkedIn is still a digital resume, and that is such an old school thinking. LinkedIn is so much more than that, and there is a handful of us out there that are creating genuine, authentic, such concrete content with a human element to it, and we are not working against each other, trying to climb on top of each other to be the top of the hill. We are collaborating with each other, because when you collaborate with one another, you create Picasso. You create beautiful things. The artwork is phenomenal what you can accomplish. This idea, this thinking of I have to step on people to get to where I need to be, or I hate the fact that, and I know hate's a strong word, but to use the word, I'm using someone to get to the next level. This is such a mentality that is decades old. And don't get me wrong, there are still people out there that still continuing to use that format, but I am telling you right now, that is not the way. And it will go, to use an expression, the way of the dodo. It's going to go away. It will not last forever because it's an empty thing. And people are starting to realize that you need to have that genuine and that, what I call that soulfulness. But it has to be true content at the same time. It just can't be willy-nilly at this. People have to be getting something out of it.
Yeah. Well, otherwise a connection isn't really true and authentic.
No.
If you're not getting something out of it.
Right.
Something that really resonates with me, and I talk about this with my coaching clients, is about the abundance mindset. And you mentioned that in this global this global economy and using our global connectedness to our collective advantage, there is an abundance. There's an abundance of money. There's an abundance of wealth. There are abundant resources that, when we do work collectively together, there is enough for everyone.
Right.
And that's what you're sort of speaking to in terms of the LinkedIn creators mindset, is that there is a belief that when you work together, greater things can happen. Like the sum of the collective is greater than individual parts, and we see that in action already with some of the connections I know that you have made and the collaborations that are going on. I've connected with a couple of, a lot of awesome people, but a couple of people, and as a result, never having met them in person, I will be going to Atlanta and working on something cool with them that will be coming out. Now, I'll tell you all about it, all you listeners out there. I'll tell you about it when that sort of comes a bit more to fruition. So is there anything you wanted to add to that? I've got lots more questions, but I did.
Yeah, no. And this is one thing, and I really, and this is more my personality. I personally hate name dropping. I know people do it all the time, and I don't think they do it intentionally to say, "Hey, look at me." I believe that.
Are you going to do it now?
No, I'm not. But I will say that there are so many people that the listening audience has to find out about. And now I feel like I'm teasing them, but I assure you, if you have internet access and you have the ability to get to LinkedIn, which I think everyone does now, please check out Louise, obviously on our LinkedIn page. Feel free to check out myself, connect. There are so many people that I could introduce you to that would fulfill you on so many levels. And I mean, I don't want, and what I was saying about the name dropping, I will say their first names, but I won't give out last names. But there are people like Shelly, Corey, Brian, West, Ashley, Lexi. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. Matt, both Michaels.
Okay.
Melvin.
So yeah. All right.
It just goes on forever. So I just think it's these people, what they are bringing to the table. Miss Sushi, sorry, the names are just like going like crazy. These are genuine, authentic, solid people that are collaborating to make the world and the business world a better place.
Okay, so that was, and you've brought me right to my next question. So well done. Thank you. I think we're like a bit back and forth, like brain connection here. So what I was going to ask you is, how do we bring this kind of perspective to the workplace, and the perspective of positivity, optimism, connectedness? How do we bring that and use that to business advantage?
I think what happens is that in the business world, we get focused on, unfortunately, two mottos: product and money. And every company has a product. It could be
or service.
A service.
Or service, yeah.
And they get so focused on that. that they lose sight of when that concept first started, it was an actual genuine human need or human connection. And as the business grew successfully, financially, and more people were hired, and it got more of a global or a provincial, state, city, whatever circumference of itself, and is growing, it lost sight. And unfortunately, businesses will say, you'll hear companies and they're like, we need a reset. We need to figure out what, it doesn't feel right. There's something missing, because they lost track of what originated, like the seed that started to grow. We forgot to what fertilized it and got it to grow and mature and do what it was supposed to. The other thing is that they get so focused on the money, and they realize that money, they're like, well, if the company's making money, then it's successful. Well, a company could be making money, not maybe the millions that you're saying it should be, and it can still be successful. I think there really truly is those two forks that a company needs to understand where the core first started. And this is what LinkedIn is doing, is bringing that humanness to the business. Because I find every business, as I said before, started off with that human necessity or need, and then all of a sudden it's like the machine took over and it became something else. And like in this world today, it was human beings on the manufacturing thing. We were putting the cars together, we were doing all this, and all of a sudden now the machines are taking over and they're putting all these cars together. I would love to see the statistics of how many lemons are out there because a machine put it together than before a human being was touching.
I'm not sure. I think I'm sure the statistics out there. If anyone has the stats on that, I would love to hear. I don't think that it's necessarily, I mean, technology is advancing the world in an amazing way. And I believe very strongly,
yes,
as LinkedIn is doing now as well with these LinkedIn creators.
I agree, but we can't lose sight of the human connection and the human side of it. And that is where the LinkedIn is bringing back that human side to it. It's not just wires and metal anymore, right? There's actually a heartbeat inside that metal box, and people. And
I agree where you're coming from. I don't think going backwards isn't the way to do it. It's utilizing technology for the betterment of lives. I also believe businesses exist they start out for a very different reason sometimes and why they continue to exist. I believe that companies can be those, and the statistics as well and research that validates this, that businesses that want to make a shit ton of money do so best when they have sort of like a rallying cry. They're really, really focused on what that goal is. How you get there, though, is through your people. How you get there isn't by focusing on that.
Yes.
You might have that as your target. Raise the bar high. I have huge aspirations for where I want to take my business and how many people I want to be impacting. The little steps then that you take along the way and the people that you need to collaborate with along the way and how you do that is really what will bring about the connectedness, the joy, the positivity, the optimism.
Right.
So I see there are two ways you can go about doing that. One will destroy souls. You can still get the money. Yeah. And one can build lives, build souls, build families and communities.
Correct. I agree with everything that you said.
Okay, so back to my question. How do we bring, let's take this off like LinkedIn. You've talked about LinkedIn a little bit. How else can we bring this kind of perspective into the workplace? I'm just thinking about what else that you do. So, what are ways that organizations can do that?
So what I've done is that when I've gone in to speak with businesses and things, and they bring you in to talk about, it could be morale within the company. It could be Well, morale's a great one, right? So morale, companies, we all face it, personally or businesses. It's tough sometimes, that grind, so to speak. I bring in a more of, oh, I'll get around to doing it, to changing the words and stop saying I'll try to do this and more of saying I will do this. I believe you have to have some fun. You got to have fun. If you're not smiling and enjoying what you're doing, then please tell me, what the hell are you doing it for?
Quit. Find something else.
Because all you're going to do.
You could be miserable somewhere else, or you could possibly be happy somewhere else.
Exactly. So you have to, you literally, and I've said this before, you need to flip it. You need to have enjoyment. You have to have some fun. You have to laugh. But at the same time, there is a seriousness that you need to take with it. But don't be overly serious. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
they can coexist.
Exactly. And so this is what I do. And it's like for someone told me, like I was speaking with a group of people, okay? And they're in the health industry, okay? And these people were saying, complaining about the clients, and they were complaining about the structure of the business, and they were complaining about hours. I mean, the list could go on about what they're complaining about. And I stopped them for a moment, and I said, I listened to everything they were saying. I said, now I want you to hear this. You are being paid a salary to encourage people to live a healthy lifestyle and to talk to them. And don't get me wrong. And then I stopped. I didn't go in any further. And then, of course, people piped in. They're like, well, there's this situation. You don't understand what I'm putting up with. And then I stopped. I'm like, please hear what I'm saying. There is a company out there that is signing you a decent paycheck or a salary, is paying you to encourage a healthy lifestyle, and is actually paying you to talk to them. Like, that's what they're doing. And I think when you strip it down and really get to the core of what it is, you should have saw the revelation in their faces. They were like, oh my gosh, you're right. I think a lot of things, what we need to do is that we need to strip it down and just get to the core of what it is.
I agree. I think that in many aspects of our lives, simplify is something that I seek to do. I seek to do with, with the people I have in my life. I seek to do that with, I was going to say with my closet, but in all honesty, I have a problem with shoes, and I'm quite okay with that problem. But that's kind of it's a little bit of fun and flair that I like in my life. But simplicity is really, I think, will really allow us to stay focused on the things that are of core importance. So I was replying to someone, or commenting with someone recently, I think just yesterday actually, about the core things that make your soul light up, that make you who you are. And I talk about this with our boys often. And I think this speaks to the notion of simplicity. Because I work with a lot of people, and I hear from a lot of women in particular who have sort of lost themselves in the rat race, so to speak, on the treadmill of life, and the busyness of everyday life, with getting an education, getting a job, and a great job at that, having a spouse or a partner and children. They actually lose who they have become, because they wake up one day and recognize that I'm not the person inside that I was back when I was 24 years old, because of all these things have changed, and who am I now? And really, if we hold on to those core things always that are core to who we are, the core things and the core people that bring us joy, we will never lose ourselves along the way. Those things may change over time. And so I was making reference to that in someone who hadn't stepped onto the golf course for many, many years. And she recognized how much joy that brought her, and she's not going to let that go again, is essentially what she said. Such a simple thing and so powerful. And I loved that she shared that broadly with a broader audience, because those simple pleasures, that are in our life day after day add up to create a life of joy and a life of pleasure and a life of meaning. And it's when those things are present that when life throws small or big bumps our way, we are more ready to weather that. And I just kind of went on a bit of a tangent about
no. And to add to what you just said, I completely agree. And it's heartwarming to hear that this person was able to do that, and makes me smile a little bit, because being a golfer myself, it's like, yes, I always tell some people say golf is a boring sport. And I always say, get out there and try it. Because I'm telling you right now, it's not the swinging of the club. It's all about the getting together with people and having conversations and connecting. That's what golf is about. You just happen to swing a club, get to be outdoors. Anyways, I'll go on a tangent and I'll stop right there about golf. But one thing I wanted to add also is that I think it's that feeling when someone does that, and that joy. I've told this to people when I speak to groups of people, I'm like, that joy you have when you are with people and you're like, remember when you were that child and it brought that crazy feeling as a kid, and you're like, oh, that was the greatest feeling in the world. And then as adults, we kind of, and I'm sure this woman felt the same way, it had that, maybe not the exact, but very similar. What I've always told people is, we still have that inner child within us. Mm-hmm. That inner child never goes away. And I mean, it could be something as simple as, it could be a movie, it could be a song, it could be a food of some sort that it brought you so much joy as a child, that when as an adult, when you do, it may not bring the heightenedness of what it was when you were a kid, but you still kind of feel that. And this is where I truly believe there's that inner child within us, maybe buried, unfortunately, because we had to grow up in this world. And this is one sad thing about being an adult, right? We sometimes forget how to have fun. And
all right, I'm going to interrupt you. So if there's someone listening, and I bet that there is, I bet that there is, who may be hanging on to every word that we just said and said, yes, I agree with you, but I have lost that inner child, or I have lost that soulful, joyful feeling. How do I find that again?
So first and foremost,
what easy strategy would you share with them to reconnect with that?
So first and foremost, I would have to tell them that you haven't lost it. That's the first thing. It's not lost. You're telling yourself it's lost. And you'll come up with 5, 10, 15 excuses to prove that it's lost. But why are you doing that? You're doing that because, well, I always say fear has a huge role in that. I think it all starts with that. You have to stop convincing yourself that it's lost, because it's not.
Okay, so once they've convinced themselves of that, this was me. Honestly, Jay, this was me. Kids were, I had 3 children in the span of 2.5 years. And so caring for those young kids was like one of the best times in my life, and absolutely by far the most challenging time in my life. I felt tons of joy, but life each day, to be, if I'm really, really honest, was very much a grind. I'm thankful and grateful for the kids, of course, but it was tough. So when I kind of was able to take my head out of the sand a little bit and say, and look around outside of my 4 walls, which were my home, I did not know what to do to bring me joy. I was ready. I was open. I was like, I did not know how to find it again. So I was already like, it's there. I know it's there somewhere. How do I find it?
I think it was always there in front of you. I think it was always around beside you. Because there was such a desperation to find it, you couldn't see it. It's kind of like you need glasses, right? And we all have a prescription of what our perfect eyesight would be. And then it's like going to a local drugstore and not going to a proper glass place and picking up a pair of glasses, and you can see, but it's not crystal clear. But you'll use them because it's working. And I think this goes back to the motto I've said to people, preaching is not the word. I'm trying to express with people is that you need to slow down. You need to take those moments because it's right there. And everyone says, like you just said, I wanted it so desperately. I was looking and I was trying to find it. And you know what? It was there.
Yeah.
But the desperation overtook the clarity of what you were looking for.
Kind of like you hear this all the time, that if someone is looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they're like, okay, I'm ready. I want to go and find that person. I'm ready for that in my life. You can't find them. And
exactly.
so,
It's like as adults, you know, you were in a relationship that wasn't working and for a long period of time. You finally get out and you're like, I got my shit together. I got everything. I got all this stuff, you know. And there are people like join clubs, play sports, you know, do all these things. And you're doing all these things, and you're like, it's not working. Because you know why it's not working? Because you're trying so freaking hard. It's stop, take a breath, breathe, and I'm telling you right now, it's right beside you. You just need to stop and slow down.
I like a lot of what you're saying. I believe that, you know, it's in those moments of silence that you'll find the clarity.
Yes.
So that's exactly what you're saying. And if you listen to inside instead of listening to all the people on the outside, because it's people on the outside that might be saying, join this club, come with me to this, read this book. Those things may work, absolutely. And those are good things to perhaps do while you're still trying to sit with your own quietness. But the intuition, we often, not often, I think in our society, certainly North American society, we teach ourselves, perhaps it's from our parents, but we teach ourselves to not listen to our gut. We look for fact. We look for tangible things that you can see, you can hear, you can touch, you can read.
I think, and sorry to interrupt, but I think, and I agree with what you're saying, but it's a bit harsh, and I'll say why. I think it's not that there's something wrong that we're not listening to our intuition. I don't believe that's the case. I think, and it all boils down to one thing, and is that we're scared. And there's this fear, because it's like, if I listen to this and it doesn't manifest into what I want it to be, then I can't listen to it anymore, and I have to listen to the people on the outside, or vice versa, right? And I think at the end of the day is that life isn't easy. As long as we're learning all the time and we're growing all the time, you still need to listen to that inner voice. And you know what? It might be wrong. It may not be 100% correct. But you know what? If you are gaining something from it and you're learning something from it, and you are growing in positivity and in a real good manner, then don't let fear stop you from listening to that instinct. Because I think that's why we don't do it, because of fear.
Yeah, but I also think that people have stopped learning to listen to it.
Well, yeah, because as children, we're told, don't do this, don't do that. Are you okay with this? You're okay with that. And it's like...
But that's what I was getting at.
Right.
We're told to look for, you know, when you're doing a pros and cons list. Remember
Yes.
the pros and cons list?
Yes.
Where does intuition? Where does what you actually feel is right? Where does that come into it? It doesn't. It doesn't. And so...
Well, but if you write something... Sorry, but if you write something on okay, so let's continue on this topic really quickly. And is that... if you were writing a list and you're writing pros and cons, your analogy right away is that things that you have experienced, you're going to write it in the pros, right? Or in the cons. But as you're writing out the positivity stuff, your gut's going to take over, because your gut's going to tell you, or maybe in the negative, but I try to focus on, you know, cup half full. Your gut's going to put some stuff on the piece of paper. It's bound to. Because that gut is part of who you are.
I am suggesting to you that with all of the clients that I've worked with in corporate, as well as just through my personal coaching practice, that has not been given a lot of weight. And so what I'm suggesting to the listening audience is to pay attention to that voice and to give it a voice.
Yes.
To allow.
And I apologize. We are talking the same
Just a
thing.
second. Just a second. That is a valid thing to have on the list. That voice within, it is probably the strongest voice. How many times have you been in the situation, and you referenced that sometimes that inner voice is wrong? I actually don't believe that. I don't believe that our inner voice is ever wrong.
I think our inner voice can be, and I maybe wrong is the wrong word to use, but it can be heavily influenced by a negative thing that happened to it.
Okay,
and therefore
that's something different. That's all self-sabotaging patterns. I see what you're saying, and that's a whole other monster and beast, and we could spend an hour or longer talking about that, which is a very, very important thing that people recognize if that's within them. If you have any self-sabotaging thoughts, behaviors, or you don't even know what that even means, send me a message. Happy to send you some, like, chat with you or send you some resources. You send me a message at my email, which is louise@louisehreed.com. And so moving from that, I have a bunch of things I wanted to ask you about. Where do I go? Where do I start? So sorry?
I was teasing you. I was going to start rhyming off things. What, my favorite sport, favorite music? No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah, I know. I have a bunch of things. I'm trying to think of what I want to ask you. Through all of what you have been through in your life, and I'd say, the last year or two has been a period of massive growth for you, as well as you have embarked, sort of left the idea of working corporate and focusing on your own business. What's the biggest lesson that you have learned so far in your life?
I think one of the biggest things I've learned is I left with a slight bitterness with what corporate was. And now that I'm on my own, I think I have come to a state of peace of mind and saying it's not just the big bad dragon that I believed it was. And I think there's a lot of people that believe this monstrosity of a beast, right? And there's all these negative things, but it's not as bad. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the corporate, we'll say, umbrella, but it's not. I've learned that it's some of the thoughts I walked away with, and I've had time to sit with and contemplate and digest. It is not everything that I thought it would be, and it's actually helped me in working with other people and how I engage on certain things, and it's helped me how I have aligned myself, whether it's a simple thing like a website, right? It's just I guess I've taken a lot of the good from where I've left, and I've adapted it and I've applied it to where I am right now.
Yeah, continuous learning and growth is huge. I like that. What's next for you? If you think about, your life from a business perspective, in a year from now, what's next?
So my biggest thing is that especially with what has been transpiring within the LinkedIn community, is that I believe the message of collaboration and people understanding what they're bringing to the table can effectively help them in the business world needs to have a bigger voice. So for myself personally, I want to be getting together with other members of the community to get out there and get that positive message out for large groups of people, and be on a panel of 4 or 5 people, Q&A, putting workshops together, getting that message out so people are leaving with that positive growth from the inside out, and that they can apply that new growth to work, even personal life. So it's not boxed in that, I can only apply this at work and it'll get me the raise or it'll get me the bonus or the promotion, whatever. No. Maybe you'll get the promotion in life, Maybe you buy that kayak. Maybe you get the raise of all of a sudden you are now going to increase your family dynamics, maybe another child. Who knows? What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't have to be like this for work. It can be outside of that, and it can be in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, positivity and optimism is just so powerful. And I think that I believe strongly that there's a huge opportunity for businesses to look at how they can create opportunities to touch their individual employees, and create higher level of positivity and optimism within each of them. Because that we know what that's like when there is someone who's magnetic, someone who has got that you sometimes call it that it factor, that people are sort of drawn to. Imagine what if the majority of the organization, because you'll never get everyone, what if 75% of people could have that magnetic sort of personality or persona? It'll look different for different people. Some people are introverts and extroverts. It's nothing. It's going to look different. But that's the joy of diversity, is seeing how those things can show up differently in different human beings. But imagine what organizations could be like. Imagine the bottom line impact. Imagine how easier recruitment would be. You're not going to have much of a retention problem. If it's the people who will be leaving will be people who are choosing to exit the organization because they don't fit with that belief system. That's what I think about. These are simple things like attitude, gratitude, positivity, and optimism. There's so much opportunity for organizations to embed that. And I think it starts with a decision and a choice from leaders at the top to say, yes, you know what, that's the kind of organization I want. I'm doing some consulting work right now with a small organization, and hats off to them, the two founders, incredible human beings. And I, like you had sort of suggested, had lost sort of a lot of faith in corporate. And they have taken all of their learnings from high-tech ups and downs, and some of their own personal experiences, and decided on the kind of culture that they want their organization to be. And I'm so thankful to have been part of that. And it absolutely is about positivity, optimism, taking care of one another, collaboration, connecting as human beings. And this is a technology company.
I just think that, and I was sharing this with someone actually this morning. They were making, and I won't get into the full details of the conversation, but I basically said, be kind to yourself. And then this person reiterated, with some other conversation, they said to me, aren't we all hard on ourselves? And then I'm like, and my response to that is, and to everyone out there listening, yes, we are hard on ourselves, but why? It's become a societal, it's accepted that that's the way it's got to be. And this is what I'm trying to bring to the table, and the change I'm bringing to people when I speak. It's time to flip the system. It's time to say, you know what? Certain things work, but you have to question the why. And if that particular thing is not necessarily working anymore, then change it. And being hard on yourself and saying, well, that's just the way it is. It's the way it's always been. You know what? That may have been socially accepted 30 years ago. But you know what? The world is a tough, tough place. And why are we piling on with everyone else that's in line to make your life more difficult? So I always say, be kind. Look at the positive of what you're doing. You're initially taking that first step and doing something. So build on that. It takes one step. I used to hate this expression because my father used to say to me all the time, he goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I'm like, as a young man growing up, they used to drive me nuts. And he would always fall back on that. But you know what? Now, being a father, a husband, someone who is out as a coach, as a motivational speaker, I am now understanding a little bit more what my father said. And you're right, it wasn't built in a day. So you got to look at the building bricks and what you did, because you're not going to snap your fingers and it's going to automatically change. It's going to take a process. The key is, don't get stuck in neutral, because it's not then, because the building blocks aren't being built, and you don't want to slip back, because then you start taking the bricks off. So it's one brick at a time moving forward, and you'll have it.
Yeah, I'm a lover of quotes, and I'm a huge fan of Dr. Brene Brown, and just putting it out there to the universe that I would love to host Brene Brown, and she will be on my show someday. If there's anyone out there listening who can connect me with Brene Brown, I will love you forever. So she said many amazing things, and the thing that came to mind, the quote that comes to mind based on what you just shared was, she said, talk to yourself like you talk to someone you love.
And I love that quote. And I want to share one other thing with everyone out there. And it's so simple. This is why I love it so much. So a friend of mine via LinkedIn, she had to leave and take care of some personal health issues. And I did tell her that when she takes this time, alone time, to be with her wife and be with her family, she will have an epiphany. And her and I are going to reconnect, and we're going to chat later on. But she did. She told me, she's like, Jay, you were so right. And she told me before I went on my holiday, she threw it right back at me. She goes, you're going to have an epiphany. And I'm going to let her know, and I'm going to let the listener know, she was right. And I'll tell you, and it's this 3 words: life is good. It is a company based out of the United States, based on 2 brothers. And I cannot believe how much that positively affected me. And I'm telling you right now, it has changed the direction of my current path in a good manner, in a very, very, very good manner.
So you and I, just to expand on that, well, in the 3 minutes that we have left, I think this would be a great way to end the show. So you and I, Jay, had our children at a cottage. We're in Ontario, Canada. We live in the nation's capital, and we went to a cottage which was not too far from our home, a beautiful, quiet lake. And we popped into town one day to grab some groceries and stumbled across a store which is called, as Jay just said, Life is Good. And I'm actually wearing one of the t-shirts today. I'm going to show people on Facebook who are watching live. It says, for those who are listening, what the world needs is a group hug. And these guys, who I also am going to have on my show, these 2 founders, I talk, just as an aside, I talk like I truly believe thoughts become things. So these guys aren't scheduled yet, just to be really clear. But I'm saying they're going to be on my show because that's how affirmation.
That's how the universe works.
How the universe works. So to the 2 of them, I wanted to say thank you for creating that kind of inspiration and that change in Jay's trajectory. This talks to the word of the day, which is also flexibility. So Jay is open, as am I, and I'm encouraging you as we finish off, the last 2 minutes of the show. I encourage you to think about your dreams and goals, and to insert flexibility. The doors will open that you do not expect to be there when you are open and flexible with the how it happens.
I'd like just to quickly say one thing, and I apologize for plugging this, but I just want, when I was on your show, I was saying that my website was in the process of being built. It is now complete. On the heels of what Louise just said, please contact me. I am here for everyone to help, and you can reach me at jandrewsSolution4you.com.
And 4 is the number 4, and U is just the letter U.
Correct.
So thank you so much, Jay, for your flexibility today. Thank you, as always. Much love and gratitude to Cameron, my producer at Contact Talk Radio, and of course to all of you, my loyal listeners and followers. Remind you that information about me, my guests, my programs, and how you can work with me are on my website, louisehreed.com. And finally, I am here each week, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, to highlight and showcase people like Jay who are taking brave, bold action, whose actions have a positive impact in our world. And so with that said, I'd like to encourage you all to be brave, be bold, and be happy. Until next Tuesday at this time, I'm Louise H. Reed, wishing you all an amazing